for future use. Okay. So again, the question was, how do you make money through online learning? And so this is a really great question and something that I've been very passionate about personally, like I said, for the past 6 months actively, but it's something that I've been toying with for a few years now. And so in this lesson, we're going to talk about what is online learning. We're going to talk about the evolutionary stages of instruction and really go through when someone is ready to be teaching online classes and how to structure that class once you are ready to teach, and then the different types of online learning you can utilize once you have your class structured. And then once you know which platform you want to use, then how to host those courses. Once your courses are created, then I'll kind of go over how to market these courses, because I think that is by far the #1 question I get from my clients and that I see publicly is, how do you market things? So I'm going to dive into that a little bit at the end. Great. So first, we're going to talk about what online learning is. And again, the question was about live streaming, but I want to go into a more umbrella overarching concept of online learning. And so that's what we're doing right now, right? This is online learning. When I thought about online learning, or when I was first introduced to online learning, it was through college, right? You take an online course, you were going to college in a live setting, and then there's a class that's not available in person or it's on the wrong campus, and then there's an online option. So I took that, and that's kind of the first introduction I would assume a lot of people are having from online learning. And so I assumed that, you know, you had to be a licensed teacher teaching in a college to utilize these types of online course creation platforms and webinar hosting. But it turns out that literally anybody can do this as long as you have the right knowledge and technical skill and ability. It is actually a platform that's available for anybody to be utilizing. And it essentially just means learning through the internet, right? Not person to person. So I've been teaching for over 15 years, you know, right out of college. I taught dance in dance schools. I taught, you know, in workshops, private settings, and it hasn't been just until recently that I was like, okay, wait, online learning is a great way to engage with more people all over the world on my own terms, where I'm making all the money and no one's telling me what to teach or when to teach or where to teach. And so slowly this became a really big drawing point for me. And so, you know, what are the benefits of teaching online? You know, you can choose your own hours. I said I was going to come on at 1, it didn't work out. And of course I was like, I'm late. And I'm like, wait, I'm not late. It was a self-imposed time, right? And this is recorded that people who missed it can catch it later. It's not a big deal, right? And so there's also flexibility. This morning, my office, I actually have another office. My real office is downstairs, and I have a whole filming studio set up. And this morning, I woke up to it having flooded. So I spent a good portion of the morning actually relocating to this office upstairs. So, you know, flexibility even with your own home. I could have done this call from anywhere, right? Well, anywhere that I have capability to set up 3 tablets and a light. But you know what I mean? You don't actually need the lighting, but having sockets and actual electrical ability is kind of your only hiccup, you know. And if everything, and you know, and I guess not even, because you could just have portable chargers and everything could be portably charged. So you're really not held up by location at all, right? And then more teaching opportunities. I, you know, see so many people asking, how can I get more gigs? How can I get more teaching opportunities? People are currently getting denied for flow festivals that they were hoping to teach at. You still have a huge following of people who want to learn your classes, why not instead utilize that rejection time to promote that you now teach online classes, right? Hey, I'm not going to be at this festival, but I teach these concepts online. You can book one-on-one Skype, or I can do a group session where you charge, like I could have charged for this webinar, right? I could charge per seat. You'd pay $5 to come to a group session. We'll go over all that later. But, you know, these are kinds of advertising things that you could be doing when you're utilizing losses, right? Like, I just lost all these in-person teaching opportunities. Okay, great, I'm gonna use that as an opportunity to promote my online services instead. I do that all the time. Less overhead than a studio. And so that's being a studio owner, right? When I actually went to business school, I thought I wanted to own a dance studio, and that's what I was going to school for. And it was pretty quickly that I realized that dance studios, especially in that day and age, were not necessarily the most lucrative business, right? Lots of overhead. You got to put a lot of money down up front. There's a lot of competition in those industries of really well-established, well-known studios. It's a lot to jump into if you're like, okay, I want to be an instructor, to just start your own studio, right? So you can actually get the same amount of students, if not more, from this kind of platform than you could at in-person. And it's so much more convenient for your students, right? Like, I don't want to drive all the way to the studio anymore. You know, I have a workout area here, and I think people are slowly kind of embracing this, you know, not isolation, but like, I don't have to be in a large group setting to take the choreographed dance routine type of education that I want. I could join a choreographed dance class if I want and still just dance by myself in my room. Or I can go to a studio down the street. And so it just gives more flexibility for your students as what they can do, you know? And then there's the opportunity to record. So I'm actually currently recording this session, which I can now clip and use for future use, right? So I could either just sell this as its own unit of a pre-recorded video for, you know, whatever price, $10. You can just buy this video later. Or I could make it as part of a larger online course, which I'll go over later. And then it would become like, you know, for $200, you're buying this online course, and then this unit is just one of many units. Or I could utilize it as part of live training. And so that's what I'm doing, right? So I have a lot of clients and we do one-on-one phone calls, but I'm saying the same thing over and over, and it's getting tiring to do. And it's also not time efficient for them to be hearing information that I could just be recording in a general way. So what I do is I record this kind of stuff, give it to my clients, they listen to it, and then at that point, they're just coming to me with questions on how my content is directly affecting them. And so it's kind of cutting out that buffer time. And so then it just becomes more efficient, right? And so I do business coaching, but for you're going to be teaching, I'm assuming, so for Flow Artist Group, that it's going to be, you know, flow instruction. And so you guys might not have screen sharing necessarily in your live instruction, but you sure could utilize this kind of stuff for concept theory. If you're good at video editing, you could sort of have like a welcome intro slideshow situation video where you could give it to your clients beforehand, and it gives them all of the breakdown beforehand so that when they're coming, they kind of have concepts and you're not just starting from scratch every time. And that's, for me, the most frustrating thing as a teacher, is the repeating of the same thing and starting from scratch every time, when I feel like things could be recorded digitally and utilizing online. So I think that's a really great way for a lot of people, is to kind of utilize this combination of the two. Wow, talking makes my voice very dry. I did not realize. Gonna keep going. Okay, so this is really important. You know, there's a lot of people watching this video, and I have absolutely no idea who was watching the video because I can't even see the chat box right now. But, you know, I'm assuming there's going to be a wide variety of people watching this video, right? There's going to be people who are just now getting into the flow art scene, and then there's going to be people who have been in it for 15 years. So I'm going to kind of break down what I consider the evolutionary stages of instruction, performing, just kind of the levels that people are taking to get to where they're going. And I think that this was helpful for me to really put it on this chart, actually. Okay, so this is actually my first time explaining this like this, so bear with me. So you have the evolutionary stages of an instructor, right? Or a performer, a flow artist, however you want to label that, right? And so, you know, you come into the scene and you are learning hula hooping, you're learning juggling, you're learning poi, you're learning you're becoming a jack of all trades, right? And so that's the generalist. And you can get away with a lot just being a generalist performer, right? You're going to get a lot of people wanting to book you because you have a wide variety of skills. That's the generalist performer. So as time progresses, you're going to realize that your skills lie in a niche. And so, you know, for some people, that's going to be, you know, whatever your niche is, right? Whatever, and you're going to pick one. So it's going to be juggling, or my niche is hula hooping. So like for me, my niche for a long time was just hula hooping. People knew me as a circus hula hooper. And now I'm switching my niche and a business manager, but I'm really switching my niche now to business management for performers, right? And so it's a different niche. And so I've actually completely changed markets and focus and everything, but I've niched, right? And so you want to find a niche. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to stay a generalist. That's fine too. There's no need, actually. It's all a progression. And so then the next step is niche mastery, right? So you've chosen your niche, and so what is it to be a master? And, you know, if you ask it, people, a lot of them will tell you it is to have done a craft for 10,000 hours or 10 years. And so for me personally, I think that the combination of the two is actually the best, right? Because I could have done it for 10 years, but only picked it up twice. Or I could have done 10,000 hours, but not made it the longevity of knowledge to like keep it going, right? Because the markets change over time. So for me personally, my opinion is that a master is someone who has done both 10,000 hours and able to sustain the market for a long period of time. Then they're able to really understand, and by the market, I mean their skill, right? And so like if you're a hula hooper, you've done it for 10 years, right? And so you understand the market, you know, you understand hula hooping really well. Not just the tricks that you know, but the people who are in it, the skills that they need to know, their needs just as a community, right? And you're engaged with that community. And so now you have your niche, you've mastered it, you know, you've been doing it for 10,000 hours, and you go, okay, I'm ready to teach. And a lot of times I think people just jump right into teaching. But what you want to do is create a concept, and it's called proof of concept. And it's, you know, not just picking random things and putting them together and then calling it a course. It's taking people on a journey from point A to point B, and what are the segments that it takes to get them there. And so if you want to do instruction, you have to have a concept and then have kind of proven that it works, right? Because otherwise you're just teaching people to run around in circles, whatever it is. And so this usually comes through casual interaction, right? You kind of realize what people are asking you about, and it's going to develop through your interactions with people, right? And so then you're like, okay, cool. So now I've got this niche market concept for my instruction. Now I'm ready to teach, right? And so if you're doing your if you're teaching in your correct niche, you should already get people who are asking you about this. And that's kind of how you should structure your class too. Don't think of it just like, oh, what do I want to teach? People will be asking you, right? Oh, what's that one thing you do? What's that one thing with the hand flourish? Or people are going to be messaging you, hey, you have that video of the thing. Really think like, what's the thing that people are always asking you about? And you want to like use that as sort of the structure of your course, right? And then all of a sudden you just go, hey, you know what? I actually charge for this service. This is actually a course that I have created because of people like you asking me about it all the time. I now charge $50 for a course, you know, for a session or whatever your rate is. There's no correct rate, whatever works for you. So it should happen organically, right? People are asking you, and then you're like, great, I offer that one-on-one. So that's kind of the natural steps. And then now you're teaching one-on-one. And I actually realized that the one-on-one and then the group coaching kind of cycle back onto each other, because you have one-on-one in live, you know, teaching, and then you have group coaching live, and then you should go back down to one-on-one digital, and then back up to group coaching digitally. I hope that makes sense. And so there is kind of a back step back down. So to reiterate, I have a concept, I'm really well known for doing a thing, and people are asking me it all the time. And so I give the information away for free just long enough so that people can give me enough feedback to go, yes, this is really working for me. And the second you get any kind of positive feedback that yes, this is working, then you start charging for it. And once you start charging for it, then you're going to do one-on-ones because it's easier. You have one person, you let them know, you're tightening it up. Great. They're going to start referring people, right? Or they're going to have a friend who wants to join in on the group. And so then you're either going to get a referral who knows more people, and then it kind of snowballs into now you're teaching 2 or 3, or you offer a referral program to your client, and you say, okay, great. You know, if you can get me more clients to come take this course, then I'll give you a free class or a percentage off of the sales, or I offer my clients just money, you know, $50. None of them take it, but I offer it, or a free call. They always just take the free call. But you know, getting incentives to the people who you're teaching to so that they actually want to help you get more people into your groups, right? So then now you have groups, you know, and you know, maybe you're teaching one-on-one, and then a festival hires you now, or a dance studio or a circus studio hires you to teach, right? And so now you're in the group coaching realm and in live instruction. And then again, right, then you drop down. And so that's where I was for a long time, right? You guys know me, a lot of people. I was managing flow festivals. I was in the group coaching area for many years, for like 5 years. Before that, I was in group coaching, teaching at dance schools, circus schools, right? I was up in the group coaching. And then I was like, oh, I wanted to, and then so what I did was I tried to jump right to online courses. Like, oh yeah, I do group coaching, boom, I'm gonna do online courses. Wrong, don't do that. You do group coaching, and I'll talk about the difference between online courses, but you do group coaching, and then you go down to digital coaching, this one-on-one, perfect it, and then you start recording it and making it into a program. And so I have here, don't skip the steps. You know, you can decide when to stop on a step. There's no right answer. You could just be a one-on-one coach forever. You could just be a niche performer. You could just be a generalist performer. There's no wrong answer. You're just not going to want to skip the steps. You can. I did. I've skipped a few steps and I had a lot of problems. And what you're going to find is you're going to have to go back down a few steps. And that's what I did. I went right to online courses. I started hosting them on Teachable. I started making them. I was filming them. And then I was like, wait, I haven't perfected the order of this or the presentation of it. And there's slides that need to change. I'm like, I just need to go back and perfect that before going on to online courses. Okay. And so this is my theory. This is the way I have put this together. I would love your guys' feedback on this. And yeah, I'd love feedback on this so I can perfect this, because I think this is an interesting concept that I've been playing with this week after that question. Okay, great. So let's say you are ready. You're ready to do digital instruction. Honestly, any type of instruction. You're ready to instruct in person or digitally. How do you do that? How do you structure this course? So, for yourself, you want to have a course description so that you will be able to share that publicly, so that when you create a course syllabus, it's very clear. If you're trying to just promote a POI workshop, you know, what kind of POI workshop is it? Is it hybrids? Is it, partner POI? Um, you don't want to get too specific. It's just, this is the description of kind of the class, right? Now here, these next two I think are kind of the most important and often overlooked sections of course creation. So I've spent a lot of time just walking through other people's classes at Flow festivals, and I've managed dance studios where lots of teachers teach in a studio setting. And then I've also taught at schools or they're teaching in a educational, school curriculum setting, right? And so I have a lot of experience in all three of these sections. And what I'm noticing that dance studios and schools have that flow festivals are lacking in is some instructors, not all, goals and objectives. So a lot of times you think your goal is to, like, oh, you're going to teach them the trick, right? But the objective is bigger than that, right? It's the goals and objectives are larger than that. And I'm not going to get too much into what goals and objectives. I have a whole course creation thing I can do, but it's more of like, instead of being like, I'm going to teach this, and this, it's more like, hand-eye coordination, community building, what are the goals and objectives? And I have a template I can actually share with you guys that how I structure courses. And I just use the same template and I change the information. And then it also includes the syllabus, which is now where you kind of lay out exactly what the syllabus is going to be. And if it's just a 1-day class versus a 8-week class, it's going to have a different type of syllabus. And then course resources. My course has a lot of resources, right? Yours may or may not. The resources may be books, or it could be podcasts, videos, other people's videos, your videos. Eventually you'll could, like I said, record your recap videos and use those as resources. Or if there's somebody in your industry that says it better on video, you can utilize that and sort of give them a shout out. Resources, handouts, these are a big one. I would say 1% of flow instructors use handouts, but schools in general always use handouts. Dance schools, less, but they still do a lot of handouts. I think this is something that's going to set you apart if you're trying to get into flow festivals. I know for a fact that festival directors pay attention to handouts. And they're like, oh, wow, you're like, what a handout says to me? You took the time to make this class ahead of time, and you didn't just wake up that morning at a festival and put together your workshop. I bet some of you watching this are guilty of that. I've heard personally people who I've hired to be instructors at festivals jokingly, not realizing that they're talking to the person who hired them, joke, oh, I'm just putting my workshop together right now. What? Don't ever do that. That's not respectful of your client's time, and not utilizing your time well. And that also means you haven't thought of goals, objectives, or the logical steps that it's going to take them to actually get to where they're going. And you're just going to be sending them around in circular instruction. And that's not fair to anybody, even yourself, because then you're going to feel like a failure in instructing when people aren't making progress, when all it really could have taken was just a few hours of preparation beforehand to make sure that you're teaching things in a logical order. Okay. I need water. Hold on a second. Schedule if it's multiple days, or just letting people know it's going to be at 2:00 at the anti-spin zone. What's the schedule? And then announcements, right? People are going to be announcing your class in different groups and stuff. And then modules and assignments are kind of the same thing. Modules are for online courses, and assignments are if you're going to give people homework later. Maybe flow festivals you're not going to, but if you're doing digital learning like this, it's really great to give people assignments to do later so that they're not utilizing your time during that, right? And so you could teach them some breakdowns and be like, okay, your homework is to actually figure out those anti-spins and then come back and actually do it. I'm going to show you the concepts right now, right? And then you want to have discussion questions mapped out, right? It's great when they come out naturally, but you want to have a few mapped out so that people, if you want people to be engaged, some courses you don't need questions, so you don't need to, right? And then private messages and chats are like for what we're doing right now. So if you can still hear me, can you post it in the chat, comment section, anything, your favorite emoji, right? After this program, you could send me a private message, right? Asking me questions, utilizing those kind of features, okay? So that's kind of a breakdown of how I structure a course. Again, I have a whole real course on how to do courses that I'm creating. It's going to teach people how to teach, but this is just kind of a breakdown of how to structure a course. Okay, now to the good stuff. This is what you guys all really care about. Types of digital instruction. How can you make money digitally, right? And so there's really two ways: live, recorded. I'm live right now, and then I will use this as a recorded. So, you know, they're also not exclusive, right? People can catch this later. So, and then there's live, and then there's live streaming. So I've actually never done live streaming. I was such a very specific type of question. And I was like, oh yeah, I've been doing that. You know, and I even put in there like, oh yeah, I've been making money doing live streaming. And that actually wasn't true. I've been making money doing digital learning through online methods. But as far as this live streaming, this is actually a new feature for me that I will be utilizing more this year, right? Getting used to doing live Q&As here are helping me kind of get the bugs out so that when I'm actually advertising this professionally, that it seems professional, right? And so I can again charge, so this is through Zoom. And so I am in Zoom and I'm streaming it live to you guys for free, but I could charge it as a service to like my clients, right? Who maybe don't even know anything about this group. And so I could be also providing this as a free service and a paid service. And so that's kind of the beauty of this whole thing, is there's really just so many options that I didn't even know were available that are available. So great. So how do you host a live course? Like I said, right now we're doing a combination of Zoom and Facebook Live. You don't need to do the combination. I've just been doing Zoom and it's been great. And I have seen a lot of people doing Facebook Lives and those are great. I personally feel like I have a lot of visual information I need to share with you guys. So I took the extra step to host webinars through Zoom on Facebook, which honestly I thought was just going to be a quick upgrade, but there was about a hour and a half learning curve of how to actually do this. So they're accessible and available, but there's definitely a learning curve, especially if you're not a tech person, right? Before that, I was just using Messenger, right? My clients would just message me or phone, just calling them and doing video. I guess I didn't put that on there. You could just do video phone chat even, you don't even need online. You could just have a phone service and then you can go live in your Facebook groups as well, which is again what I'm doing right now. And Skype, bringing it back. You could still be utilizing Skype. People are still using Skype, but I think people are switching over to Zoom. And it's kind of 50-50 right now on what people are wanting to use for when I'm going into business meetings with people. Oops, excuse me. Okay, great. How do you host recorded video. Okay, I didn't put on here, you could just upload them to YouTube, right? But then you're not charging for them. But that's an option, right? You could charge for a live course and then just have as an added bonus for your followers that you're uploading them onto YouTube, right? So I didn't add that, but I'm trying to assume that you want to make like an online course. So again, I'm going to be really just clear again. This is there's a learning curve here. If you're just going to make a video and then use video series of it, it might be easier. I'm using a combination of printables, downloadables, video, text. If I'm going to do something, I kind of go over the top with it. And so this project of what I thought, I was like, oh, the courses are always like, oh, build your online course in 3 months. It's, yeah, build your online course in 3 months if you already have all the content built and completely created. So, I've been learning everything from this girl called Grace Lever, Lever. She's this like super cutie from Australia, and her business is teaching people how to make online businesses. And so that's where I got a lot of my information from. And essentially, there's 2 ways to do it. If you're making an online course, you can host your own course on your own website, or somebody else can host it for you. And so on the left hand side, those are if you're gonna do a marketplace teaching platform, right? So these guys have their own system set up. It's already gonna have their templates. You're not gonna need to know as much tech. They're gonna in theory market for your event. I would be careful on leaning too heavily on that. We're in such a niche market that until more of us jump over there, I'm unsure of how much their marketing power actually helps. But, like I said, once more of us come over here, then yeah, we can all be utilizing these platforms together and kind of create our own little schools, right? And so I started building my online course on my own, and then my whole website crashed. And so then I moved everything to Teachable, and I started doing Teachable. But then for me personally, I just realized that I personally want to do it on my own website, because the way that I'm building my program, it's just kind of this all-encompassing thing that I don't want to be pushing traffic back and forth. But if you are just doing one type of education, it's just, it's a little bit simpler than what I'm doing, Teachable is a really great platform, and I know a lot of people who are making money from it. And there's other ones too, like I said, Udemy, Thinkific, Kajabi. I personally haven't tried those, but I've heard a lot of good things about them. You will have to do your own research. And then you can build it on your own. So I have WordPress website, and you can use any of the ones on the right, LearnDash, LearnPress, Courseware, Sensei, TeachPress, and you can build your own on your own website. You're going to have to know, you don't even need to know code. You just have to have more patience, because it's like, just more selections of what options you want for it, and more, you just have to do more. It's from scratch. Okay, great. So, and again, I go in deeper into all these concepts, but I'm just kind of grazing over everything. So now we're going to assume that you are a master instructor, you've created your concept, you've done one-on-one, teaching, and at this point, you're either in one-on-one teaching in person, group coaching in person, one-on-one, digital, group, digital, or online courses, right? Any kind of course at this point. Like, how do you market that you are an instructor that has a course available for people to take? Okay. So I can't tell you how many times I ask people, they message me, or they ask me, or they're a client, or Q&A type things. Kristen, tell me how do I market? How do I market to get more gigs? And I go, okay, great. Who's your market? Crickets. Most people don't even know who their market is, right? So you have to define your market first. Who are you creating this course for. And you don't need to have just one market, right? So like one course could be for one kind of market, and then another course could be for a different type of market. But you have to know who the market is to know how to market to them. And okay, so then you're like, okay, I know my market. Like, so for me, my market is flow artists, just like your market is flow artists, right? It's like, okay, I want to market to flow artists. Well, but not every flow artist spins poi, not every flow artist is starting a business. Not every flow artist hula hoops, right? Or even the ones that hula hoop don't want to learn 5 hoop on body splits, or like, so who is your market? And then what does that market specifically need to learn? And that's your niche. So for me, my market is flow artists, but the niche is business, people who want to do business, right? And so your market could be flow artists, and then target market would be poi, and then your niche would be poi hybrids, super anti-spins, right? And so that's the niche. So once you know your market and you know the niche of what they want, or of what they're asking you for, right? And again, they should be already kind of asking you for this information. Now you're going to go, okay, I know who they are, and I know what they want, because they're telling me what they want, but that's not the problem, right? Like that's just telling, like, I want this, but you have to kind of dig a little bit deeper to figure out that maybe what they really need is plain work, or what they need is choreography, or what they need is partner work, or what they need is what, I don't know. Then you're going to change your course to meet that. And so you're going to actively be listening to them, and modifying it, right? And then again, once you are doing this, and you're just going to be teaching general courses, then you're going to create a signature course. And so this is what's going to set you apart from people who are applying against you, is that people are just like, intro to poi. Like, okay, great, another intro to poi, but if it's like, I'm really turned on to multi-course series too when people apply those, because it's like, oh wow, you have a really thought out series, right? Like A, B, C, and each one takes you on steps, right? And so you want to create a signature course and then name it, right? And so then it's not just advanced this and that. You create a sexy name that people are like, ooh, I want that, and then you create it, and then just, this is really important, your course can't be stagnant. It's not like, oh, I created this course and I'm all done. No, you listen to your market, and they're going to tell you, oh, this is really hard, or oh, I've already finished, and you're like done with your class in 20 minutes, or people just don't like it, you know what I mean? They might not work, at the end you can kind of tell the energy is low or whatever, and that's not because you're a bad teacher, it's because you didn't find the problem they needed, and you didn't like solve that problem for them. Like, they came in needing to know a thing and it wasn't provided, and that's not because of you, just because you like hit the mark on what you thought. And so you listen to them and you just sort of keep changing it, right? And so I forgot on here, really important is, don't get your feelings hurt. I see so often that people are like, oh, my class didn't get accepted and I'm really upset, or oh, I didn't get positive feedback from my class, I give up. No, like, do you know how many times people told me my class didn't quite hit the mark for them, or I, finished my class too early, or I only got through a third of the content because I actually overstuffed it, or, there's a million things that could go a million different ways. And so you just gotta persevere through that, so that you can actually hit your master instructor phase, right? Because it's really easy to go like, oh, I've taught 2 courses, I suck. It's like, no, I've been teaching for 15 years. You can't look at me or other people who honestly, a lot of the professional instructors who are consistently getting work over and over, they've studied education. It's not by accident that they create well-structured classes. They've studied it. I study education even still on my own, just over and over. And so you kind of have to listen to people and keep studying and refine